podcast going way up. Welcome to the second episode of Sideline Saturdays. You guys already know who the full guy am, but just in case you weren't here for the first episode, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Jelani Smith, 19 years old, communications major out of South Suburban College. If you want to hear the rest about my background, you're gonna have to go back to the first episode because I'm kind of above that at this point. I'm not finna go over that again. That was a long thing I had to do right there for the first episode. But y'all gotta admit, that was a sexy ass intro I just did right there. I practiced that one a little bit. That was nice. Ooh, I gotta keep that. Okay. First, I gotta give a big thanks to all the listeners from last week, all the people who gave critiques, all the people who showed love to the podcast. To be honest with you, I listened to it the first time I thought it was decent. Second and third time, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was cheeks. I thought it was terrible. Everybody kept saying it was really good, how dope it was, and that they were gonna listen in the next week. And I started to get my spirits up a little bit. I started to think, well, maybe I could be a little bit good at this, possibly. Maybe I'm a natural at it. Maybe I am what these people say. Maybe it was actually good. So big thanks to absolutely everyone that critiqued it, even if it was a bad one, which I don't think I got any bad ones, but I did get some constructive criticism that I'm now taking in for the podcast for later episodes and for this episode as well. Thank you to all of you, and I hope you guys keep listening. I'm going to keep getting better at this. So for today, I wanted to get into some pretty interesting topics about, first, my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. Now, let me note the difference here. My top 5 favorite rappers of all time. Not the best, not the most influential, my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. For the second topic, I wanted to get into my take on doping in sports because I think it's something that needs to be touched upon. There's no sporting event, no current event out right now that's talking about doping. And if you don't know what doping is, I will explain to you when that comes up. But I think it's important, and I want people to open their eyes up to what doping could do for sports and the meaning of it, really. And the last thing I want to give to you guys, something that I'm trying that's new, and I think it's going to hit well. Hopefully it does. It's a little bit of hit or miss. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a life lesson that I learned through a certain situation that's going to be silly. Hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, I don't care that much. But if you guys do like it, I'm going to keep it for later episodes. So we'll be right back. And the first segment is going to be about my top 5 favorite rappers. I hope you guys love them. We'll be right back. We back. If you guys didn't know, that was the Baby with Intro. That's the first song off his new album, Kirk. And man, between Baby on Baby and Kirk, these two albums that came out this year, this boy's been putting in work, the Baby has. And for reference, I want you guys to know my 3 favorite rappers in the game now, up and coming rappers, but pretty much breakout rappers this year. So just now, not even thinking about my top 5, just now, it's the Baby, Lil Tecca, YB, and Cordae. And that's not in any order. It's more like they're all tied for first. I love the Baby. I love his style. I love his confidence and just how seasoned he seems. Lil Tecca is somebody that I can relate a little bit more to, because I'm not from the trenches. I am from the hood, and Lil Tecca, he makes music he ain't from there either, but he's so blunt and he's so himself about everything. It just really relates to me. And YB and Cordae is one of the best lyricists out in the game right now, period. Not even young lyricists, not older guys that have been in the game for a little bit. I'm talking about just straight lyricists. J.I.D., Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, YB and Cordae. Them guys are lyricists, and YB and Cordae belongs on that list of dudes. If you guys haven't listened to The Lost Boy, you got to go take a look at that. That's one of the best albums of the year as well, along with what I think Kirk and Baby on Baby, what the Baby has put out. All 3 of those right there. If you have not taken a listen to them yet, I suggest you go take a listen to them because all of them are absolutely dope and bring something new to the table that I haven't heard yet. But on to my top 5 list of my favorite rappers of all time. And like I said earlier, it's not an essential top 5 as in these are the top 5 greatest rappers or the top 5 most influential rappers. It's just my favorite top 5, and something that I wanted to do with this list was just get everybody else's. One thing I want to start is get a little thread going. So if I can do that, that would be great. A top 5 list of everybody's favorite rappers. And the thing about music, and especially about hip hop, is that it's subjective. What you may think is good, I may think is garbage. But there's a beauty in that. And there's a lot of variety in music and genre, and not in genres, but more along the lines of subject. And I feel like if everybody has their own top 5 list of favorite rappers. It'll be cool, something cool to do in the little discussion that we could all have. But getting on to my top 5 list of favorite rappers of all time, I want to start with one that's pretty interesting. I think that the number 1 rapper that I have on my list is going to be a little funny for some of you guys that aren't a big fan of him. But number 5 I got on my list is Lauryn Hill. And this one's like a new addition, y'all. Like, I'm telling you, I just started listening to Lauryn Hill 2 months ago. No cap, 2 months ago. And she's captured my imagination. First off, I want to say Lauryn Hill is a rapper. Lauryn Hill is a rapper. Fight me if you don't think she's a rapper. I swear, fight me. Not only is she a great rapper, she's a great singer. She's super talented at both. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is my second favorite hip hop album of all time. It combines neo soul, R&B, and hip hop all into one. And me growing up, I was a big hip hop head. My dad had this big old box of, like a big old box of just straight albums. DMX, Trick Daddy, Snoop Dogg. So that's kind of like, that was my beginning with it pretty much. That was what I saw first. And as I grew up, it was straight hip hop. But when I listened to Lauryn Hill and when I listened to Marvin Gaye and when I listened to Michael Jackson, it just turned my musical interest around a little bit. It made me a little bit more varied in my musical preferences because it used to be just straight hip hop. Now I love R&B. Now I love soul. Now I love neo soul and funk and jazz. Country's not for, I don't think I'll ever get into country. Shout out Lil Nas X, you're doing your thing, but country or it's a lot of forms of pop I ain't into either. But for the most part, I'm sprinkling myself around a little bit. I got a lot more spice in my life than I used to. So for Lauryn Hill, a lot of mornings, like when I'm getting ready for school, I'll be singing her songs in the house, like while I'm ironing my clothes or drying them, or when I'm like brushing my teeth or something, and I'll just be singing along. And I know for a fact I'm not the only guy who does this. So if y'all laughing at me right now, you're laughing at yourselves, because I know y'all listen to Lauryn Hill in the morning when you're getting ready to go to work, go to school, when you're getting ready to go out somewhere, to go eat, whatever it may be. And man, I sing my heart out, and I dance in my little white tee and my shorts at like 9 o'clock in the morning when nobody's in the house. Lauryn Hill is my shit, I promise you. And you know, what's funny is, like, when you have your earbuds in, I don't know if this is for everybody else, but this is just for me, like just me speaking, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate to this. When I have on Lauryn Hill and I have my earbuds in and I'm singing along with Lauryn Hill, I sound like I can win American Idol. Like, I swear I sound so amazing. As soon as I take them things out and try to sing along with Lauryn Hill, I sound like Doodle Bop off SpongeBob. I sound absolutely awful. But just her music, her vibe, the way that she put together the flow with her singing she's an amazing singer, and she's a very good rapper. She's a lot better than people are probably going to give her credit for. So while in the making of this whole list, I read somewhere that Drake back in 2012 said that he was the first person to successfully merge rap and singing. I'm not gonna lie, Drake, you about 14 years late on that one. Lauryn Hill has probably done that better than anybody else. I mean, respect to Drake. Respect to any of the melodic rappers, but she started that, won 5 Grammys off it for Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and it actually still stands today as one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time, not just on my list, but overall on lists just in general. So Lauryn Hill needs her respect, and I don't care if she doesn't come out with another album for the rest of her life. She doesn't have to come out with another song for the rest of her life. Her merging of singing and rapping, to me, it's the best I've ever heard. Like, even better than Drake. But that's just my opinion. I mean, I can respect somebody who says that Drake is the best at it, because that dude is uber talented. It makes no sense. But another reason why I put her on my list, Lauryn Hill broke open the door of over-sexualization in rap. For a lot of women, it was about sexuality. It was about sexy dances, songs, like just over-sexualizing things to a bit. Like, of course, that's still great, and that's actually part of the culture now, which you see with Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki and Card. You see a lot of that now, and it's great. But not Nicki. Lauryn Hill broke open that door a little bit of just talking about that. She talked about breakups. She talked about her political stances and what women should think. It's really just a women empowerment album. And in a world filled with toxic masculinity, where a lot of guys don't want to hear someone like Lauryn Hill speak, me personally, it opened my eyes a little bit. And that's why I have her number 5 on my list. And hopefully she comes out with another album. Even if she doesn't, I'm going to rock out to her music for the rest of my life. I do not care. Now, Number 4 on my list is going to be somebody that everybody, and especially hip hop heads, you guys are going to know who this is. Number 4 on my list, favorite rappers of all time, is Nas. Nasty Nas. Every time I listen to Nas, I get new brain cells. And I don't have a whole lot of that. That's how smart, intellectual this dude is. And it's really funny because I didn't first hear Nas until NBA 2K13. Thank you so much, Jay-Z, for putting that man on the soundtrack because I needed that. It changed my life forever. So the first song I heard of Nas, like, of course I knew who Nas was. I knew he was a legend, but I never bothered to hear his music like that because I just didn't want to. If I don't want to listen to something, I'm really not going to listen to it. Like, I'm not curious like that to be listening to other people's music. But I heard it when I was playing 2K13. It was the song "The World Is Yours" off the Illmatic album. And I remember hearing it for the first time, and I'm bobbing my head. I said, "Who made this?" And I said, I saw Nas on there. I'm like, dang, like, this dude dope for real. So after hearing "The World Is Yours" and "Represent," I was like, I have to go back and I have to go listen to Illmatic. And to this day, guys, no album's lyricism has made my jaw drop that many times since Illmatic. And he was 19 years old when he made this. I'm just now making moves and I'm 19. This dude had the greatest hip hop album ever. Yes, I will say it. Like, I mean, in terms of like what critics would want an album to be, it's not my favorite rap album of all time. You guys are gonna hear what that is later. But Illmatic is like the hip hop Bible. What he put together, the mind, the way that he articulated everything in that album, it was beautiful. And to be honest, there was not a bad track on that album. And to this day, even at 19 years old, when he made that album, you won't hear many artists, if any artists, with that type of lyricism, with that jaw-dropping lyricism, them type of metaphors, them similes, the punchlines. Some of that is iconic and it'll stand forever. Like, some of y'all will hear that even before you hear some of the songs. "I Never Sleep 'Cause Sleep Is the Cousin of Death." Like, that right there, that's iconic, along with a few other ones that I'm not going to name right now. But Nas, just off Illmatic, just hearing that, you're going to be like, this dude is just, I don't care what he makes after this, he's one of the greatest, especially at that age, being able to do what he did. The beats and the lyrics just came together so perfectly, and the flow he had on it was nasty, and it's one of a kind. Well, not one of a kind anymore. People kind of bite off his flow a little bit, but I hope you guys get what I'm trying to say. And before I move on to my next rapper, anyone that says Nas' only classic album was Illmatic, you need to leave the podcast right now. We do not tolerate that type of ignorance over here. We do not tolerate that over here. That is not accepted. You need to leave right now. Illmatic, it was written, Stillmatic, Godsons, The Lost Tapes. I'd even put I Am, all classic albums by Nas. You do not become Nas by just putting out one classic album. And even if you don't agree with Godson and Lost Tapes and I Am, it's pretty much universally known that Stillmatic, It Was Written, and Illmatic are classic albums. So for people that say that, I got no love for you. That say that Illmatic is his only classic album, I got no love for you. He's one of the greatest of all time. That's why I got him number 4 on my list. Number 3 that I got on my list, none other than Tupac Shakur. Tupac was the first and literally the only rapper to make me visibly emotional listening to his music. I'm telling y'all, I look like Michael Jordan. Like that Michael Jordan meme when he was crying at his Hall of Fame speech. That's how I was looking when I was listening to Me Against the World. And I think I was listening to So Many Tears. And literally, I could just feel that tear coming down my eye. And I never, to this day, no rapper has made me that like visibly emotional. Like I felt some type of pain during somebody else's album. But Tupac, he just takes it to a different level. His music instilled a new level of confidence. And I know I'm not the only one that felt that. And you can also feel it during his interviews too, but it was like on the tracks that he did, some of his confidence got transported into you. And it felt emotionally, it was raw. All of his music that he made. I don't care how different his subjects changed up from Tupacalypse Now to All Eyes on Me. The way that he spoke and the confidence he spoke with, the passion he spoke with, and all of his music, it touched you in a way that I don't know if any artist could touch somebody else mentally like that, emotionally like that. Now, besides rapping, Pac is like one of my favorite figures ever. He was intelligent, compassionate, and 100% of the time he was himself, whether he was right or wrong. And you got to realize how much confidence you have to have in yourself to ride or die, stick to your guns. Whatever you believe in, right or wrong, you're going to continue to believe in it. And that was Tupac for you. So I think that was part of the reason that he instilled a level of confidence in me that not a lot of rappers could, is because he really just believed everything that he was saying. And he believed in himself more than I'm ever going to probably believe in myself. Now, one thing also that I really loved about Tupac's approach to music was his approach to lyricism. It was direct and it was straightforward. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Kendrick Lamar and his conscious rap lyrics, along with Common, Lupe Fiasco representing Chicago. They pack the lyrics with a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and messages that you can learn from. But I think the problem in translation is that with the youth, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. Not only because they just don't want to hear it, it's because they don't know what they're talking about necessarily. The lyrics are a little too complex for them. When it came down to Tupac, he was going to tell you straightforward exactly how it is. They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor. That's as straightforward as it can get. And I feel like there needs to be more rappers if you're trying to send a message out. Not that Kendrick Lamar, Lupe, and Common are bad at sending messages, but I think it can be interpreted a little bit better by the youth, who is we're really trying to hit here when it comes to hip hop a lot of times. Because like I said on the last episode, it's a young man's sport. When you're trying to get people to understand you, it's best to be direct. And Tupac was always direct in his way of translating himself. He wasn't the most technical rapper in the world, but it was probably best that way because his messages got out, and that's why he's considered maybe the most influential rapper of all time. He's definitely one of the greatest, and that's the reason I got him at number 3. Now, number 2, this is one that me and my dad, when we get into arguments, this is the one we get into it over. It's Biggie and Tupac. I got Biggie at number 2 on my list of my favorite rappers of all time. Now, this is my favorite. Now, my favorite rap album of all time, if you guys don't know, is Ready to Die by Biggie. From the moment I turned the album on to the last second of it, I was bobbing my head. Now, do y'all remember when Chief Keef came out with Don't Like? And it was like all of a sudden niggas that had bald fades, all of a sudden they popped out the next day with dreads and it was bobbing their head to Don't Like? That was me when I was listening to Ready to Die by Biggie. Or when white people listen to Mo Bamba and they be bobbing their head at the concerts and stuff like that, that was me when I was listening to Ready to Die by Biggie. It literally, I don't think there's a bad track on that album, and that's hard to say in a lot of albums because there's filler a lot of times. But with Biggie, every track was good to me, like every single one. The one thing that drew me to Biggie was how honest he was. He didn't always glorify the streets. He made the street life seem scary, not luxuriously laid back like you hear a lot of rappers today, or even of yesteryear. There were a lot of rappers back then who were glorifying the streets too and what was going on. When he talked about being selling crack, it was scary, and it was something like, dang, I don't want to be a part of that life. I'm happy that he's out of that life. He made you feel his pain through his music. Listening to Everyday Struggle and listening to Suicidal Thoughts. If you guys have not listened to Ready to Die, you also need to get off my podcast too. You need to listen to that album. It is a hip hop essential. It's a black people essential, if you ask me. When I listened to those tracks, Suicidal Thoughts and Everyday Struggle, it gave me a pit, like a bottomless pit in my stomach. And it wasn't because I was suicidal, and it wasn't because I felt like I was gonna die soon. It was just like you could feel his pain. Like he was able to put you in his mind frame and in his situations better than possibly any rapper in history. His storytelling abilities are legendary, and they're up there with Pac, Cube, Ice Cube, obviously, Slick Rick, Eminem, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar. He's right up there. Maybe even the best storyteller that rap's ever seen. He could paint a picture better than any rapper I've listened to. Nas as well. He was amazing storyteller. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just listen to Illmatic, like I said earlier. Of course, I loved Life After Death. That's also one of my favorite albums of all time. But Ready to Die, nothing that I've heard beats that. But Life After Death was another classic. Now, Biggie was charismatic. He was hilarious. But above all else, he was honest. And that's the thing that I loved about him so much. And Ready to Die gripped me in a way that not a lot of albums normally do. Like I said, Me Against the World also did that for me. But Ready to Die, it's up there on the Pantheon. It's number 1 for me. Now, speaking of number 1, number 1 on my list of my favorite rappers of all time in my top 5 is none other than, if you know me, you'll get this a little bit. Kanye West. Now, in my opinion, Kanye is one of the most influential rappers and one of the most innovative rappers in history. He may even be the most innovative rapper in history, constantly switching up his sound and still having one of the best catalogs of any rapper. Now, before Kanye, my favorite rapper, before Kanye and when I started to really get introduced to hip hop, the first rapper that was my favorite rapper was T.I. T.I. was the shit back in 2007 when I was 7 or 8 years old. Said you can have whatever you, man, he had number one after number one. T.I. was my shit. And it was just because his songs were so catchy. I initially got into Kanye when he was battling with 50 Cent over album sales. I think it was Curtis versus Graduation. And Graduation honestly blew Curtis out the water. That's when I really started getting into Kanye. Like, I didn't like 50 Cent at the time, to be real with y'all. And I still I'll listen to 50 Cent, but he's not like up there. He's not on my top 5. I'll put it like that. He's not on my top 5, but 50 Cent's dope for real. But Kanye West, before Kanye and before T.I., I was a Disney Channel ass nigga. Like, I was Camp Rock, High School Musical, Jonas Brothers, Naked Brothers Band. You know, I'm from Lansing. Don't judge me. That's what I used to listen to. That was my shit. I thought I was going to be a singer one day. It didn't work out for me. I'm doing podcasts now, so it all worked out for the better. But that was what I was listening to before Kanye. Then Stronger came out, which is off his album Graduation, which you guys should go listen to. I will say again. And Stronger rocked my world when I was 7 years old. Now, the video kind of scared me a little bit because I was just a scary ass nigga when I was 7 years old. That's just how I was. I don't know what about the video made me a little bit scared of it, but I was low-key scared of it when I was 7. Then I heard Can't Tell Me Nothing. Then I heard Good Life. Then I heard Flashing Lights, Homecoming. At this point, I had been converted to a Kanye West stan at just 7 years old. Like, all things Kanye West I absolutely loved. And to this day, I'm still a huge fan of Kanye West. Now, does that mean I love his political statements and his political stances? No, that doesn't have to mean that. Or his clothes. I'm not a huge fan of Yeezy. Like, just overall, the brand, I don't fuck with it like that. But his music, you can't tell me shit about his music. I will stand by that nigga music forever. Now, over the years, I've gone back and I've listened to College Dropout, classic. Late Registration, classic. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, classic. Yeezus, classic. Graduation, classic. Yes, I will say, Graduation and Yeezus are classics. My Life of Pablo, a very good album. The only album, 808s and Heartbreak. It was different, but that's why I call him one of the most influential rappers of all time, because he was one of the first to bring in that whole auto-tune thing and be a rapper that was using auto-tune. He kind of set the blueprint for a lot of what these guys are doing today. But Ye is the only album that I'm legit like, I don't really like that. Like, personally, my taste, I didn't like Ye like that. But I'm hoping Jesus is King. I think he's going to come back to being Ye again. He's going to come back to being like Kanye, you know what I mean? But them albums that I just listed, there's like 4 or 5 classics. Like, I'm talking about classic albums that you cannot deny. They are some of the greatest that hip hop has ever produced, and it's all by the same guy. And it was kind of in the same time period. I mean, College Dropout came out, 2003, 2004? By the time My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out, he was already a legend at that point. That album came out in 2010. So he was constantly putting out some of the best work that hip hop has ever seen. And like I said, although I don't agree with his political stances or his statements at times, or even his general statements, like just his general statements in general, I love his creativeness, I love his fearlessness, and I love his confidence. And he gripped me because Kanye wasn't about gangster rap, really. So I think that's what drew me from T.I. over to Kanye, is because Kanye wasn't straight up about always buying Benzes or throwing money. He had a little bit more to say, politically wise, and that's what drew me in at first. And then I just kept hearing his music and the production on it. Kanye's one of the best producers ever, one of the best at making beats and overall just producing an album. And that drew me in. So that's why I have Kanye at number 1 on my list of my top 5 favorite rappers of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed the list, and I want to start a thread or text me your top 5 favorite rappers of all time, because I do want to hear it. I'm very interested in getting the discussion started. We'll be right back with Sideline Saturdays. Next topic, doping in sports. We back at it, and this topic is going to be the most interesting one to me. So I hope you guys do enjoy it. It's my take on doping in sports. And like I said earlier, there is no current event that's really going on right now that makes me want to talk about this subject or makes me want to touch on it. This is just a viewpoint that it's changed for me over the past few years. And I think I want to share it with you guys today and see what you guys think. Like I said, Sideline Saturdays is discussion, conversation. So anybody want to get at me, I'm going to start a thread. It's on Twitter. Actually, you can get on my Twitter page right now. It's Sideline Saturdays. If you just search up that on Twitter, you will see my page. It's the Muhammad Ali picture with James Baldwin. I think Bill Russell's in the picture too. If you guys get on there, give me your top 5 favorite rappers of all time, but also talk to me about doping in sports, because the take I'm going to give, I think, is going to be a little bit different from what other people might have, because doping is, it's something that's not obviously allowed in sports. And doping, just for people that do not know, it's simply steroid PED use. That's all it is, performance enhancing drug use. That's all it is. So, getting into my take, I think that doping should be allowed in sports. Athletes are some of the most competitive, honestly, the most competitive set of individuals in the world. It's only natural that these competitors, especially the best of the best. So if we're talking basketball, we're talking about Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. If we're talking baseball, we're talking Mike Trout, or Cody Bellinger, somebody like that. In football, we're talking Tom Brady. And you guys already know, if you know with some of these athletes, how maniacal their work ethic is, how much even the littlest details and advantages are to them. So especially the best of the best, look for any advantage that they can possibly get. And the thing with sports is, sports showcases amazing feats of strength, speed, overall explosiveness, etc. And fans love to see that. They want to be entertained at the end of the day. Some of us ain't pure sports heads like some of us are. I'm a sports fanatic, but there are some people who just come to want to be entertained. Fans love to see long home runs. They love to see speed records being shattered and stylish fast break dunks, windmills, 360s, between the legs. If somebody could pull that off in the middle of a game, I'd love to see it. That would go viral. The likelihood of moments like these happening would increase if athletes were allowed to use performance-enhancing drugs. Now, I know what the issue is involving it, and I'm going to articulate it as best as I can. Some of the issues with PED steroid use is. The issue that fans in the league has, any sports league, so NBA, MLB, NHL, NFL, is that with PEDs is one of purity. Natural, being natural as an athlete. Let's say I'm a world-class 100-meter sprinter. I go out in the Olympics and I shatter the 100-meter record. If fans had knowledge that I broke this record with the help of PEDs, then it would cheapen the value of the accomplishment in the fans' eyes. So imagine you're my fan and you see me, you're a fan of me as a sprinter, and you see me as a 100-meter sprinter, I break the record, but you know that I was using PEDs. The idea is that it would cheapen the value of my accomplishment. Furthermore, if record-breaking performances like that became more commonplace, it would no longer wow fans or be as special. So imagine the Joe DiMaggio's famous hitting streak being broken over and over and over again. Imagine that happening and people being like, dang, okay, we get it. Or people continually passing up Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list, or somebody constantly breaking the record of home runs that Barry Bonds set. It would take away the wow factor of the whole thing. I get that. Competition will become, a lot of fans would say, competition will become about who has the best drugs. I've even heard that argument, which is, it's kind of stupid, but I've heard that argument. I've heard that one. Sports are supposed to display athletes showing their perfection of their natural abilities. It's also going to display their determination, their grit, their work ethic, and really just those 3 things, pretty much how determined you are as an athlete and how much work you're willing to put in, how passionate you are about your sport. That's kind of the purity of the whole thing. Doping helps athletes perfect their abilities without engaging in really any hard work. Also, the idea behind, I hear a lot of fans say, athletes can't take credit for their accomplishments if they are using PEDs. There's a difference, with being able to take credit for something and not being able to take credit. So Barry Bonds, home run leader. Really, a lot of fans say it doesn't count because it hasn't really been proven, but we all know. It's the bigger head, the bigger muscles, out of nowhere, he was using steroids. It's not to be denied. And it's not something that I honestly fault him for, to be honest with you, but I'll get into that. So On that scale of you can take credit for this, you can't take credit for that, I'm going to ask you the 3 following questions. Hiring world-class coaches and training in state-of-the-art facilities. Where does that lie? On the take credit, don't take credit. What about using equipment such as strobe light glasses to improve your performance, which I will get into when it comes to Steph Curry later? And surgeries to correct sports-related injuries. Where does all these 3 things right here lie on that take credit, can't take credit for dichotomy that everybody likes to make up? All of these are artificial interventions to improve performance, but none of them are in the same category as PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs. And I don't know why. Is it because it's physical? And this is where I think the split comes. It's a physical thing. So steroids, they don't just improve your strength. Everybody thinks when you take steroids, it's just about strength. Like you're gonna all of a sudden look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Barry Bonds did when he started taking steroids. Steroids or PED usage can help with recovery time. It can help with fat loss. It can help with healing, increasing endurance. So it's not just appealing for baseball players or football players. This stuff is appealing for basketball players. And drug tests are jaded. If you think NBA players, and I'm not going to call out any names, obviously, I don't name call on my show, but if you think that a very select few of NBA players, if really none at all, some people think, use PEDs, I'm not gonna lie, you're off on that one. There are plenty that are doing it. How do you think some of them play 82 games a night and keep that energy consistently to be able to put out performances the way they do? I will also get into that. But back to the can't take credit for your performances if you're not natural. Stephen Curry, 2015-2016, everybody remembers the Warriors went 73-9. He led the league in scoring without even playing a lot of fourth quarters. He played about 34 minutes a night, broke efficiency norms unlike any player we've probably ever seen, had a 50-40-90 season, shot about 10 threes a night on 40 and made about 45% of them. That's a crazy percentage. I don't even know if anybody's going to ever be able to duplicate that ever. And pretty much had one of the greatest individual seasons ever, along with, I got to shout out Russell Westbrook for his first triple-double season. That was an amazing season. James Harden, what he did last year was amazing. LeBron in 2007. We can go on and on and on, yada, 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 yada. You guys get it. There's an article that's out. It's on Bleacher Report that gets in depth into the training tactics that Stephen Curry used that year and has used ever since then. Everybody remembers in 2014, 2015 when he won his first MVP and everybody was saying that James Harden should have won. He came back in the offseason after they won the championship over Cleveland in 6 games. He came back and he was determined like no other to prove people wrong that he did deserve that MVP and that first championship that they won was not a fluke, because obviously everybody remembers Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love getting hurt in that series and LeBron basically playing hero ball at the time with Matthew Dellavedova. That was a really good Cleveland team for people that think they sucked. They didn't. Stephen Curry ended up, and in this Bleacher Report article, they talk about the strobe glasses that he uses. So strobe glasses, they were given to him by his trainer, Brandon Payne, but they were used way back when Michael Jordan was the first person to use strobe light glasses. And the reason he was using them is because the camera flashes that were going on in the arena when he was shooting free throws or shooting fadeaways was distracting him. It blinded him, like temporarily. Also, it blinded the referee. So when Jordan was shooting fadeaways and he would get fouled, get slapped on the wrist or whatever, sometimes the officials wouldn't see it because the camera's flashing blinded the referees for that slight second or so. So Jordan wanted to get used to the flashes. So his trainer, Tim Grover, who is one of the greatest trainers of all time, and like I said, back to that dichotomy I was talking to you guys about, Tim Grover helped change Michael Jordan's career path. Obviously, Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan. Everybody knows that. But Tim Grover, if you don't know Tim Grover, look Tim Grover up. That man deserves a lot of credit. He's actually got a book out called, another book out called Jump Attack, which goes into his training methods. But they use strobe lights. So they would set him up all throughout the practice court. And Mike got used to the strobe lights. But one effect that he didn't realize was part of using those strobe lights, Tim Grover didn't know either, nobody knew it at the time, was that these strobe glasses, they helped him slow the game down. He was picking up on visual cues that he normally wouldn't pick up on. So the best player possibly ever, and in the world at the time, now has another advantage. The game is even slower for him now. And a lot of players talk about when they're in the zone or when they find their confidence is up to an all-time level. When the game seems to just slow down for them, everybody looks like they're moving in slow motion. Now there's a practice tool out there that you can use in these strobe glasses and in these strobe lights that can make the game look even slower for a guy like Michael Jordan, who already sees a bunch of players moving around slow. And you guys tell me that and steroids is this big old advantage? But let me continue what I'm talking about. So in the article in the Bleacher Report with Steph Curry, they talk about the strobe glasses. Now, Michael Jordan started off with strobe lights. They ended up converting them into strobe glasses that I think they got from Nike. Can't remember exactly who they got them from. You guys have to go through that one. But Stephen Curry used them as well. And if you've ever seen the famous video, it's got a decent amount of views, probably in the millions at this point, of Stephen Curry dribbling a basketball and his trainer tossing him tennis balls while he has those strobe light glasses on. They're basically flickering on and off. So the left lens will close, then the right lens will close, and it'll just keep going like that. And what that does is it increases processing, visual processing. So what he sees out on the court. So basically it'll improve his reaction time, his speed, his agility, his coordination overall. But I'm trying to break this down as simple as I could possibly make it for you guys. The faster your brain processes information on the court, the slower the game's gonna look. So these strobe glasses basically made his brain slower. It basically made it look like everybody's in the Matrix. To Stephen Curry, you're talking about the greatest three-point shooter of all time. Now, he even goes on to say, his trainer at least went on to say, Brandon Payne, said that these glasses were part of the reason, actually a major reason, for why he went from 286 threes in 2014-2015 to 402. This is the all-time record, which nobody's going to touch probably ever except Steph Curry. That's an inhuman record. 286 to 402, and he attributes it to these glasses. Now, that's not popping a pill. That's not no injection, but that's basically strength training for your brain. And they always tell you mind over anything else, mental over anything else. So if there's some type of unfair advantage, look, something that can make the game look slower, or something that could get you a little bit stronger and get you a little bit more stamina. You guys tell me. And not only has Steph Curry used them, like I said, Michael Jordan used them, Kawhi Leonard used them, LeBron James. We can go on and on to the list of these athletes who use advantages such as strobe glasses. It's a big time advantage to have. Greater to me than any physical advantage that you could possibly get out on the basketball court. Now, another thing, and I'm not going to accuse, these are not accusations, but LeBron James. LeBron James is in his 17th season. Just 2 years ago, he led the Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals. Didn't have Kyrie Irving that season. Kevin Love was injured for a while. They were down 3-1 to the Pacers in the first round. They were down 3-1 to the Boston Celtics in the conference finals. They swept Toronto. LeBron James was a big part of that in his 15th season. And a lot of people say he should have won MVP over James Harden. Like I said, I'm not going to make any accusations here. I'm not going to do that here. But I think you guys know where I'm going with this. You're talking about a dude who's 250. I mean, in Miami, he was 270. I heard he put on 25 pounds of muscle while he was in Miami. He only missed 14 games in his 4 years in Miami. 14 games. You're talking about LeBron James, the dude who has the most mileage on him in NBA history, pretty much. Nobody has gone to the finals, especially in back-to-back years. Nobody's gone to the finals in as many times back-to-back years as LeBron James, except, them 60 Celtics teams. Those are the only ones that are comparable. So you're talking about one individual player who's consistently leading his team in points, assists, rebounds, possibly. Doing all this, and people attribute it to, well, he spends $1.5 million on his body. LeBron James is not the only player that spends a ton of money on his body. Don't let the media make you think that. LeBron James is not the only player who takes care of his body at a crazy level. You don't think Stephen Curry does that? You don't think Kevin Durant does that? You don't think that Russell Westbrook takes care of his body, considering the pounding that he gets on his knees and on his legs? You think he doesn't take care of his body? You think he just chills out in California and smokes cigars? No, these guys, all of them, are putting thousands, maybe millions into their body because it's important. Health is more important than it's ever been. And there's more technology out there than there's ever been to be able to take care of your body. But LeBron James, steroids, designer drugs. So people are going to say, well, LeBron's never been caught with steroids. He's never been caught with PEDs, so there's no way he used them. Well, there are these things, guys, that are called designer drugs. Designer drugs are designed for these drug tests that I said earlier are jaded, for them not to be able to detect them. You can constantly readjust these designer drugs in order to pass this test. So there are possibly, and I'm not going to accuse NBA players, any certain NBA player of this, but there is a possibility that there are NBA players out there who are using these drugs in order to improve performance. Now, I just told you that. And some of you may be thinking like, oh, well, you just ruined the game for me, or now I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. Are you really though? At the end of the day, fans want to be entertained. We want to be entertained. Some of us that are listening to the podcast, their favorite player is LeBron James. And if it's not LeBron James, it's somebody else. And I promise you that, there's a good chance that that person might be using PEDs too, in order to have that advantage. Like I said, athletes are looking for an advantage. But do we want to see LeBron James play bad? No. When we go to see a game, whether we're watching on our TV or we pay a ticket to go see him at the Staples Center this year, we want to see LeBron James do LeBron James things. We want to see Steph Curry do Steph Curry things. We want to see Russell Westbrook do Russell Westbrook things. We don't want to see him possibly ailing a little bit, which goes back to also this. Back in Cleveland in 2014-2015, when LeBron came back, and everybody remembers that whole famous, he took 2 weeks off, went to Miami in order to rejuvenate his body. Then all of a sudden he came back and he looked like LeBron James again, even though before going on that whole trip, he wasn't looking like himself. He wasn't looking like the LeBron James we had seen. He had cut a little bit of weight from Miami. I think he was up to possibly 270 in Miami. Now all of a sudden he's at about 235, 240, 245, and he doesn't look like the same LeBron. Of course, he was still a beast, but he wasn't the same LeBron, and people were questioning him. He goes to Miami for 2 weeks. All of a sudden, he's back to LeBron. Do you think that was rejuvenation? Or do you think he possibly may have done something to adjust it? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question necessarily. I'm trying to keep it one way here. But I hope you guys get what I'm saying. And that, like I said, at the end of the day, fans just want to be entertained. And doping, like I just articulated with Steph Curry, is it the greatest advantage in sports? Barry Bonds does not hit all the home runs that he hit throughout his career by just taking steroids. Now, it enhanced him, just like strobe lights enhanced Steph Curry, who was already the greatest three-point shooter of all time. Now he's just Steph Curry. He's on an island of his own after using strobe light glasses. Barry Bonds was already going to be one of the greatest baseball players ever. Gold Gloves, All-Star appearances, Silver Sluggers to his name already. He just enhanced himself a little bit, and not everybody has the hand-eye coordination, the technique, the overall brain processing to be able to do what Barry Bonds did. If that was the case, a lot of more people would be Barry Bonds, or a lot more people would be LeBron. So when I say, there's a possibility that LeBron used PEDs, just because somebody takes PEDs doesn't all of a sudden mean they're going to be LeBron. It's just an enhancer. Just like there's a lot of enhancers with shoes, with stuff that you wear, with sleeves, with FitLight system, which look up FitLight system if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're palm-sized poles basically, and they're built to help your reaction time and your coordination. So basically, I believe that doping should be allowed in sports. I don't see an issue with it, because if you're saying doping is wrong, then why aren't strobe glasses wrong? Why isn't FitLight wrong? Why isn't some of this equipment that some of these players wear wrong? Some of these state-of-the-art facilities, or trainers or coaches that give them information that some other players don't have. Why isn't this wrong? Is it really just a physical thing? Or are we basically still leaning on rules that were made who knows how long ago when this stuff was starting to be regulated? That's my take on doping in sports. I hope you guys see where I'm coming from a little bit, and I do want to start a discussion with it. We'll be right back on Sideline Saturdays with my last topic of the day. Preparation is key, a life lesson that I learned. Back one more time to discuss my last topic with you guys for today. And it's one that it's going to involve me a little bit, but maybe I could teach some of you older guys who listen to my podcast, older women who listen to my podcast, maybe I could teach you a little bit of lesson instead of the other way around like it usually is. So it's a little bit of a life lesson that I learned from the situation, and I want to start incorporating it into the show because I think it'll be something that will be relatable and something that's just overall could be silly and something that we can all have fun sharing a little bit. And mine for today is the time that I learned when preparation was key. So growing up, I always thought that players like LeBron, Jordan, or Kobe were these extraordinarily gifted athletes who woke up being able to play the way they do. Woke up like this, basically. Growing up, I figured that the greats in any profession, so outside of basketball, any profession or craft were gifted by God more than others, and me as well. When I was 8 years old, guys, that's when I first realized that preparation is key to being successful, and I'm going to get into that in a very short amount of time right now. So at the time, my 7-8-year-old mind couldn't fathom how much work athletes put in to be as good as they are. I didn't know that Kobe would sometimes make 2,000 jump shots in a day in the off season. I didn't know that Michael Jordan would participate in uber intense workouts before practice. I figured athletes were superheroes, gifted with abilities that I would never have. And in some ways, this is true. You know what I'm saying? So that 48, I'm probably never in my life going to have a 48-inch vertical or the competitiveness that Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan possess. I'm probably never going to have those things. Just like I don't have the strength that LeBron James had. There's not going to be a lot of people like that, or the jumping ability, or the speed. Maybe I'll never have the shooting ability of a Steph Curry either, even of a James Harden, somebody who's another long range sniper. Back to my story though. Let me not get off track too much. It's funny because I learned that preparation was key from my third grade girlfriend, Leah. Now, I thought I was in love. I'm not gonna lie. I thought the shit was real. Like, I thought it was as real as it gets. I thought I knew it all after Leah had been my girlfriend. We had ring pops. We held hands in school, played together at recess. We were like the power couple of the third grade. Kanye, Kim, Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. We was all of it. And another thing about me, it's like crazy to think how different I am now compared to back then. Like back then, I was so unnecessarily arrogant. I hadn't done nothing in my life to be as arrogant as I was, but I had this image of myself that was so high, it made no sense. And it didn't help that my third grade teacher at the time called me a ladies' man. Now, I don't know why my teacher called me a ladies' man. I didn't even talk much in class. But if you get to know me, you would have realized that I had thought very, very highly of myself. But I don't know where she got this whole ladies' man thing from. She also said I was handsome a lot of times. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know what she was talking about at all. I talked to Leah, that was about it. Maybe that's where she got that from. She never really explained it to me like that. So, me already thinking highly of myself, my teacher was only boosting my ego more by calling me a ladies' man and calling me handsome. So now I'm taking these things, it's like affirmation. When you tell yourself in the mirror that you're a musical genius. Now when somebody else tells you that you're great at music or you're a great singer, it's just going to be like an affirmation. You're going to absorb it and you're going to really start believing these things that you're being told. Even if you're not telling yourself, when somebody else tells you it, you're going to believe it. And that's how I was. Now me and Leah, we had only been dating 2 weeks, but it felt real to me at the time. I was looking at my mom and dad like, I understand you now. Like, I get it. I get it. I know what real love is. I understand, y'all. Like, I really get it now. So, as a boyfriend, and this is where the lesson starts to come to fruition a little bit. As a boyfriend, I have my mushy moments, even today. I'm not a boyfriend right now. I'm single. But as a boyfriend, I have my mushy moments. And I genuinely liked Lee at the time. So, I decided to do something that was, of course, right up my alley, mushy, but bold as well, which is kind of like, that's that combination that I have. I'm bold and I'm mushy. So some of this stuff can be real corny when I do it. I decided, without much thought, that I was going to sing my heart out for Leah our next recess. Because like I said, I genuinely like Leah. I knew 2 things when I was 8 years old, if I knew nothing else at all. I knew that girls loved singers and girls loved athletes. Now, I love basketball at the time. I was not playing basketball competitively at the time. I wanted to be a singer. And low-key, I thought I had vocals. So that was right up my alley. I thought I was going to be Trey Songz. I really thought I was going to be Trey Songz. I thought I was going to be Drake. I thought, like, Drake just if Drake wasn't a rapper, if Drake was just a singer, I thought that was going to be me. And, you know, I'd sing in my free time. Like, I ain't sing. I wasn't Michael Jackson in the house, you know, like I wasn't just around the house singing and all that, but I sing in the shower, you know, I'd hum stuff to myself. And to be honest with you, I still do think I got vocals. I ain't finna sing for y'all right now because, you know, my voice is a little hoarse. I gotta practice a little bit, but I still think I got vocals. And when I was 7, 8 years old, I thought I had vocals. So you take the combination of me being mushy, me liking singing, and me being bold, I decided that I was going to sing Excuse Me Miss by Chris Brown to Leah. This is no joke. I cannot make this up. I really decided because I was like, that's a perfect romantic song. Y'all know Excuse Me Miss. If you've never seen it before, the video is basically Chris Brown dancing behind this light-skinned girl for, I don't know, like 2-3 minutes and just singing and wanting her and stuff like that. It was a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. Nobody wants some dude just dancing behind them crazily, like behind them for a full 2-3 minutes in a music video, but it was kind of funny. I'm not looking back on it. It's pretty funny. It's like when you watch Power Rangers, like when I was younger, when I was like 7 to 8 years old, Power Rangers was my shit. If I see it now, I swear it's better than any comedy special that I've ever seen. Like, I swear to God, it is so funny. The way that they move and the way that when they get blasted, they go back, they be like, like that. You gotta watch it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you gotta watch Power Rangers. It's ridiculous. It's the funniest shit you'll ever see in your life. But back to my story. So I decided to sing Excuse Me Miss to Leah because I thought she would love it. And we was already going well. Like I said, we had ring pops. This was like some Norbit type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had ring pops. We was basically married at that point. And we had been going out 2 weeks. And, you know, most relationships when you a kid, you know, it'll be like Sam goes out with Amy for 2 days before they break up, and then now they friends, or they don't fake like each other, you know, shit like that. That was what was going on in 3rd grade. We was like, oh dang, they really serious. It's been 2 weeks and they don't even argue. They don't even because I ain't had no phone at the time, so I just saw Leah when I was in school. They was like, oh my God, they're like 2 weeks was like 10 years when you was in 3rd grade. Nobody ever lasted that long. So the fact that we lasted that long for that 2 weeks before I sang to her, and ultimately we broke up like a week later, something. It's hard for me to remember, but something like that. It's a very long time period when you're in 3rd grade. So I want to say that I practiced singing the song like a handful of times. Like, I want to say like 3-4 times, something like that. And every single time I sounded fucking horrible. Like, I sounded like absolute shit. Like how the comedy acts that be going on American Idol be sounding, that's how I sounded, except I sounded worse, and I was 7 with a squeaky voice. So you can imagine already how this goes. But like I said, I'm bold. I will try anything one time. Well, not anything. Let me stop right there. But I would try a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not scary. I'll try most things. I'm a pretty bold kid. I'm a pretty confident kid. And at this time especially, I'm really confident because I ain't know no better. I ain't been rejected before in my life. I never had nobody tell me like, no, like that was horrible. You know, I'm thinking I'm the shit. So next recess. And before we went out to recess, I told Leah, you know, I got something special for you. Like, I'm going to do da-da-da-da-da. I didn't want to tell her what it was exactly. So she could have thought I had a gift of some sort, or that, I don't know. She probably thought I had a gift of some sort, or some like Skittles that I bought from the store or something. She could have thought anything. But I was going to sing to her. I didn't tell her that, but I was going to. And I told her, like, right before we were about to go outside, I'm going to do something special. So before we play tag like we normally do and be chasing each other around for 30 minutes in our regular clothes, we needed gym clothes back then. It was bad, but that I had a surprise for her. So when we went out there, we went out by like hopscotch, like the little hopscotch area. So it's like when you first come out the door, we right there, and I tell her just stop, like right next to the little hopscotch little line thing right there. And I can't really like tell you how, I can't really articulate it to you, detail it to you like that. I sang the song like 3 or 4 times before I went out there and did it. I had a little bit of butterflies, but as soon as I went, it was just, I just started going in. And to be honest with y'all, I knew it was shit. When I started singing, I knew it was shit. Like, as soon as I went in for that first line, I was like, in my head, I was like, It's like when you first get a whiff of like a bad smell. That's what it was for me. I knew it was shit, but I just kept going in. Da-da-da-da-da. You guys can sing Excuse Me Miss. I ain't finna sing it here. Like I said, my voice is hoarse. I'm not finna sing it here. I get finished, and I'm not gonna lie, I went like as much as I knew of the song at the time, I sang it. So like I might have been singing for a good 2 minutes, like before it stopped. And I stopped, and she was smiling, but she wasn't just smiling, she was like smiling, like laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like laughing at me a little bit. I didn't think shit of it at the time. As soon as I stopped, though, singing, and mind you, like while I'm singing, I'm giving a little show too, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna stand still and just sing. The hell is that? That's dry. So I'm dancing a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving a little bit of play out of it a little bit. I had a little dance routine that I had gone through too. I had a few moves, you know what I'm saying? I can't dance like that. I ain't got no coordination like that, but I was gonna do it for Leah. So after I finished singing, y'all, the first words that came out of her mouth, she said, "Boy, you sound like a dying cockroach." That, first off, that was rude. That was mean. She didn't have to say all that. She could have said that wasn't, it was nice, or you could have done, she could have said a lot of things. But the first thing she said was, "You sound like a dying cockroach." And from there, I was just like, in my head, I said, damn. But the good thing about me, I don't give a shit. So after I finished, she told me it was bad. We went back and we started playing tag. And from that point on, whether subconsciously or consciously, probably subconsciously in my head, I started understanding like, it's not a good idea to do something and not have preparation before. So like even when I'm doing this podcast, or if I got a game the day before on basketball, it's great. I learned it at an early age, 7 or 8 years old in the 3rd grade, that it's good to prepare for things. So if I was gonna sing, I had practiced this a few times. Now, she could have been nicer and gave me an A for effort. She didn't even give me that. She said it was outright trash, and then we just started playing tag. But nonetheless, the preparation is the most important thing when it comes to this type of thing. So, or any type of thing, whether it be doing a presentation, whether you're going to do a podcast, whether you're going to be acting, whether you're going to be getting ready for a game and you want to play your best and drop 30 off, 40 off, be prepared. And that's something that I learned, and I took it with me for the rest of my life. It was through something funny. I wish I didn't have to learn that way, but I was being bold. I thought I was in love, so I went in for it. And that's really the life lesson that I learned. Preparation is key in anything that you want to do, especially when it comes to like something where it's going to involve a large amount of people, or you're doing something that you normally wouldn't just do on a regular Tuesday, like sing in front of your girlfriend at the time. It's important to have that. And I hope you guys, if you did not know that lesson, try to take it into anything that you do. Preparation can make you look so much better in anything. Now, if I were to do it again, if I get a girlfriend and I decide to sing to her, probably not going to happen. It's like a 2% chance that happens. I got to really be in love, like drenched in love, drunk in love, to sing to my future girlfriend, whoever you might be. I'm about to be like really crazy out of it. Might have to be off some Henny or something, or off a pill. But if I do, I know now that I have to prepare. So if I'm going to sing, I'm going to be harmonizing in my house. They're going to hear me. Mom going to hear me. My sister going to hear me. But I'm damn sure going to get it right this time. I hope you guys enjoyed Sideline Saturdays, 2nd episode. If you did not go and watch the 1st episode, I suggest you watch it. A lot of people told me that it was really good. Like I said, I'm excited about this show. And I thank everybody that listened in the first week and is going to be listening in this week. If you guys got any suggestions for what I could do better, Q&A is good too. I want to get started on Q&A. If you guys want me to talk about something in the sports world, music world, school life, get at me. Get at me on it. You guys got my phone number. I'm on Twitter, like I said, Sideline Saturdays. You can look it up. I'm also on YouTube. If you type in Sideline Saturdays, my picture will come up with my first podcast. You can put it down in the comment section if you want me to do anything. Next week, I plan on doing a roundtable on Saturday. So 5 or 6 people are going to be discussing various topics, and I think it's going to be very interesting, and you guys are going to like it. I'll see you guys next Saturday. I'm Jelani Smith, and I'm signing out on Sideline Saturdays. I'll see you next week.